This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Good afternoon, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for May 2, 2023. And in the news this afternoon, 1 of 4 gunmen held following bar robbery and a shootout in St. Elizabeth. 1 of 4 alleged gunmen was taken into custody following a bar robbery and a shootout with the police in Littis, St. Elizabeth on Sunday night. A police source told the news that shortly after 7 p.m., 4 armed men held up a bar in the community and stole several items. It is reported that a police team, which was on patrol in the area, was shot at by the gunmen. The police reportedly returned the gunfire and the chase ensued. A firearm and 3 rounds were seized. 1 suspect is in custody. The items that were robbed were also recovered after the incident, the source told the news. A video of the incident, which has gone viral on social media, showed the 3 gunmen storming into the bar and the bartender fleeing. The men then grabbed the items from the bar before the police team approached the area from 3rd Street. 3 of the men escaped while their crony was arrested. A&E services under pressure due to number of road crash victims. The Southern Regional Health Authority has expressed the concern that its emergency services are coming under increased pressure from road crashes, particularly those involving motorcyclists. Wayne Chen, chairman of the authority, told the news that the number of injuries being treated by healthcare providers is a cause for alarm. This, he said, has been placing added stress on the hospital staff. There have been 139 deaths in 126 crashes in Jamaica since the start of the year. That represents an 11% decrease in fatalities when compared with the corresponding period in 2022. Motorcyclists account for 29% of road deaths since the start of the year. The parish of St. Elizabeth has recorded the most road fatalities so far, with 16, followed by Manchester with 14, and Hanover and St. Catherine South each with 12. Insurance broker sentenced to 9 months for embezzlement. An insurance broker was on Monday sentenced to 9 months in prison for reportedly embezzling over $1.5 million. Dion Wilson, 51, pleaded guilty to embezzlement, obtaining money by false pretense, and attempting to pervert the course of justice following her appearance in the St. James Parish Court. According to the prosecution's case file, Wilson, who worked for a law insurance broker and Sagicor Limited between 2018 and 2021, collected payments on policies from various customers but failed to hand over the funds to her employers. While working as an insurance agent, Wilson was reportedly asked to present her receipt book for an audit. However, she claimed that her insurance report book had been lost and reported it missing at the Freeport police station, despite knowing that it was not missing and that it would implicate her in several counts of embezzlement and other criminal offenses. When she was dismissed as an insurance broker for poor performance, she continued to collect insurance premium payments, posing as an employee of an insurance brokerage. In mitigation, Wilson's attorney, Swain Phillips, stated that her actions were motivated by the COVID-19 pandemic. She was struggling and that led her to doing certain things, Phillips said. Wilson's life before, according to Phillips, was on a promising path as she has always employed and had a good educational background. She also indicated that her family life and upbringing were stable and that she was raised in a Christian home. According to Phillips, her client made an effort to repay some of the money, but the complainants rejected the offer because they wanted the entire sum. Phillips requested that the court consider the fact that she did not waste the court's time by embarking on a trial. She accepted her mistake, is remorseful, and pleaded guilty at the earliest possible time, the lawyer continued, pleading for mercy on her behalf. Presiding Parish Judge Keisha Grant Price said that the report was a remarkable one, noting that Wilson's actions were not influenced by factors such as poverty, poor upbringing, poor family relations, or a broken home. She had the benefit of a stable and healthy family life, good education up to university level, a history of employment at established places, the judge said. The COVID-19 pandemic, which is ongoing, cannot be deemed to give anybody impetus to steal from poor hardworking middle-class citizens, Grant Price added, citing examples of a teacher who was robbed of more than $500,000 as well as a retired person who was also victimized. The judge went on to argue that this was a deeply ingrained wicked behavior that couldn't be shrugged off, as I was broke during the pandemic. Grant also reminded Wilson that she had stolen in excess of $1 million and that the court could not turn the other cheek, slap her on the wrist, or tell society that it was okay, especially given the prevalence of these types of offenses, and that the court needed to send a message. For attempting to pervert the course of justice and obtaining money by false pretense, Wilson was sentenced to 6 months in prison on each charge. Additionally, she was given a 9-month prison sentence on the charge of embezzlement. Sentences are to run concurrently. UK hires lawyers to challenge legality of security guards contracts. A legal showdown is looming between Jamaica security guards and their employers concerning new contracts being offered to them. Vincent Morrison, president of the Union of Clerical, Administrative and Supervisory Employees, told the news that the union has hired a team of attorneys to challenge the legality of the contracts. According to Mr. Morrison, the new contracts would extinguish all benefits, such as vacation leave, which the guards are now entitled to, following a court ruling last year that effectively changed their status to that of employees. The UK's president urged the Ministry of Labour to convene a meeting with the security guards and their employers so that the matter can be resolved going forward.
We have been doing some work with respect to those guards who, quite rightly so in my view, refused to sign the contract, the new employment contract. The contract would extinguish all benefits, vacation leave, name it, that the guards are entitled to going forward. And again, I would like to call upon the Labour Minister, the Ministry of Labour, to convene a meeting with the parties so that the matters can be resolved going forward. In the meantime, we have hired a firm of lawyers. We met with them on Thursday, and they will be doing what is necessary from a legal standpoint to protect those guards who refuse to sign, and also those guards who have signed.
Children's advocate concerned about a mandatory minimum sentence for minors. Children's advocate Dan Gordon Harrison has voiced a strong concern about a proposed amendment to the Child Care and Protection Act, which recommends a term of not less than 20 years before a minor found guilty of committing murder becomes eligible for parole. Last month, a joint select committee of Parliament began deliberating on proposed changes to the legislation relating to the mandatory minimum sentence for murder. Mrs. Gordon Harrison, addressing the issue Monday on the news, said she would rely on the discretion of the presiding judge to determine if the minor is deserving of such a severe punishment.
If, for example, you have a child who is being forced to be a part of criminality and that child becomes ensnared in the criminal justice process as a child in conflict with the law, it really would be appropriate for those circumstances to be elicited before the court and for the court to determine what sentence is appropriate given the fact that the child was really a pawn in a greater scheme. That situation is distinct from, where you have completely antisocial approaches. There is no element of force or coercion or any kind of manipulation. And then that would perhaps call for a more stringent approach. The principles of juvenile justice do dictate that, the punitive ought to be the last resort. If the circumstances require it, then the judge in his or her discretion can do what is appropriate. But even within that particular, confines, you have to look at the social inquiry report, you have to look at the context and the circumstances of this particular individual who is before you to determine what is best.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.